Yo, what is going on, Papa Fam? Welcome back to day 4 of the eBay 5-day Next.js challenge. We're going to go ahead, blow things up and complete the eBay clone today. So get excited for that. Let me know if you're watching the replay, if you're watching the live stream right now and you're here with me right now and about to have some fun. Let me know where you're watching from in the chat right now. I'm going to start shouting people out. We've got Hasib, Fawaz, Jacopo, MRA, Ali, Mora, Yoni, Willies, Ogola. What is going on, guys? Welcome to the stream. I see some OGs in the house, repping it throughout the entire challenge. Welcome to day 4 of probably one of the biggest challenges we've done. George's Yared, I see you. Sikandar Ali, Fawaz, live from Nigeria. Guys, welcome to day 4 of the eBay 5-day challenge. Let's kick it. Hey. That's what I'm talking about. That's the energy. We got live from Hungary. David Kiss, I see you smashing that homework. Kaushik, Mohammed, email. What is going on, guys? Right. Let's go ahead, without further ado, dive into this video today. We're going to go ahead and kick things off with some speed. We've got Italy in the house as well. I love Italy. Right. Who's ready to begin day 4 of the challenge? Comment right now. We also have a PAPAFAM member, Repro. What is going on? If you want to join that PAPAFAM membership, just hit the little join button in the bottom right now. Supports the channel and you get access to exclusive content. Right? Go ahead, comment I'm ready if you're ready and excited for today's video, and make sure you smash that like button if you are watching, because it's going to help this get out to a whole load more developers. So what are we going to go ahead and build today in day 4 of this 5-day challenge? Right, we're going to go ahead and build out the dynamic item listing page. So when you click on one of those items that we were able to list yesterday, it's going to show you the bidding page or the buy it now page. And that's going to be one page component that's going to be dynamic based on the use, right? We're also going to implement a buy it now functionality, and we're going to allow you to place a bid if it's an auction or make an offer if it's a direct listing. So all of this is going to go down in the next hour. You know what? Let's see a quick demo of this in action. So I'm going to go ahead, break it down for you guys. This is what we got up to yesterday. We were able to add items to our inventory. We were able to go ahead and list the items from our inventory up for sale, so direct auction with a price. And in today's build, we're going to go ahead and implement the ability to go ahead and click on a dynamic listing itself. So in this case, we've got an auction right here. I'm going to click into it, and you're going to see that we're going to see an auction listing pop up on the screen with a price, a buy now price, a bid with the current time remaining for that bid, and an ability to place a bid or buy the auction outright. Right, so this is exactly how eBay essentially works. We're going to also build this functionality for a direct listing as well. So you should be able to go ahead and make a offer if you have offers on the table as well, right? So we're going to go ahead and build all of this out today. Right, so in fact, let's go ahead and jump back into the slides, because we've got a few things we want to talk about before we go ahead and kick things off. Now, I see a lot of you saying, you know, if you've submitted your homework late, what do you do? Let me go ahead and switch the music up. If you've gone ahead and submitted your homework late, that's completely fine, guys. Don't worry. Remember, all you need to do is submit it before day 5 for it to be considered as part of the final lineup, right? So this is really awesome to see people tuning in. We've got Naveen, Mohammed, Delvin, Dipomin. Yo, what is going on, guys? RNG says, let's go. That's the energy I'm talking about. Let's dive forward, guys. So what are you going to learn today? You're going to go ahead and get a top up of your reactjs skills, because that's what we do on this channel. We're going to use Next.js, and yes, it is version 13. We're just not using the new server components, that kind of stuff yet. But if you do want to know more about server components, streaming, concurrency, suspense, all the amazing stuff the Next.js 13 brings, subscribe, because your boy is so excited about that stuff, and I'm going to make a video probably next week about that. So hit the little bell notification icon. I'm going to cover that. Trust me, I want to be one of the first to cover it. Then we got Third Web in the house, powering this amazing tech that you see in this build. So none of this would be possible and this easy without the power of Third Web. Third Web allows us to push our own smart contracts, such as the NFT collection, such as the marketplace contract, onto the blockchain on a number of different networks, whether it's Ethereum, Solana, whether it's the Polygon, Mumbai, testnet, whatever we want to push to, it allows us to do so. And we retain ownership over the contracts. So everything we do, we sell, everything is completely our own, including the money that we make from it. So Third Web, in my eyes, is absolute GOAT in the space. I love them for a reason because it's so damn powerful and the developer experience is incredible. Pair it up with Next.js, we've got a party, right? This is why I'm here. This is why I'm so excited. This is why the energy is always high, because I find amazing partners like this and they just crush it, guys. They absolutely kill it in what they do, right? So we try and be the best in all areas. And that's why we're also using Tailwind CSS. So we're going to have the responsive aspects. Everything's going to be working the way that you expect it. Okay. So someone just said, I'm still stuck on the homework. Lewis, I see you. If you need help with your homework, join the Facebook group, join the Discord group. These are going to be the places to go to. 9,400 members in the PAPAFAM Discord server to help you out. You can see the numbers are going up every single day because people are in this group, in this family, in this community. This is what it's about, right? So it's really something bigger than what you think. And guys, remember, if you want to go ahead and join our exclusive inner community where we go ahead and take on mentorship calls weekly, so you guys can go ahead, learn things like Next.js 13, all those things at the forefront when they get released, then make sure you head over to papareact.com/course. This is the flagship course where we teach everything from zero to landing your first job. But stick around to tomorrow and who knows, you might see something pretty interesting about joining our course. Right. So tomorrow's tomorrow is the absolute grand finale. You have to sign up if you're going to get a chance of getting any of those prizes, right? So these are all the free goodies, by the way. So if you sign up in the link in the description, you will get all of this, right? You'll get 3 ebooks, 2 courses, and a podcast and a playlist to go ahead and listen to. All the songs you're hearing right now, you'll get if you sign up. But I just need you to sign up. It's simple as that. Otherwise, I have no way of sending you that email with the contents. So you need to sign up, and you're also going to expect a full 5 days training inside of that video, right? So the entire 5 days, all the skills you've learned, we're going to put it together and deliver one hell of a training tomorrow. And I'm going to show you all of my tips, my tricks, how to land freelancing clients, how to land your first job, how to go ahead and crush it, how to set up a business in this space. All of that stuff I'm covering tomorrow. I'm giving everything away that I know tomorrow in that training, but you have to be there, right? So this is where you want to be tomorrow. So how do you get points if you want to win this challenge? Well, let's just run through this very quickly, right? So 1 point, like, subscribe, comment on one of these YouTube lives. Simple as. 2 points. Oh, that's afterwards. But I just want to mention, we have so much love. I cannot get over this. This is what the PAPAFAM is about. This is why it's not just Sunny on YouTube. It's about Sunny and the PAPAFAM, right? You guys are incredible. Look at these comments. It is absolutely just so beautiful to see, right? The support and everyone. James, I see you every day turning up. I love that energy, right? So well done. Thank you, everyone, for being an amazing part of this journey of something bigger. 2 points for tagging me in your stories and using the hashtag Papa Challenge. That's how I can go ahead and see where you guys are watching from and how you're going ahead and watching these videos. 3 points for helping people with your homework. Let's see some examples. Andrew was helping people out with their homework, yesterday's homework. Look at this. Awesome, right? Everyone just pulling together and pushing forward as a team. Kanyo and Hasib helping out Linathi with his homework. This is amazing, guys, right? And same with Hasib. I see you in the chat even now. Amazing stuff from helping out, right? This is what we want to see. This is the community aspect behind it all. 4 points if you refer others to the challenge. 5 points for submitting your homeworks. So as I mentioned before, all the submission links in the description or in the Facebook group. But yesterday's homework was to simply go ahead and implement the ability to add new items into your inventory. So minting NFTs and such. And then you could go ahead and list an item. You have to deploy it and submit your homework. So let's go ahead and see who actually got the shout outs, right? So over 500 people submitted, which is still, I cannot believe. That's just unreal, right? Like the amount of people watching the replay afterwards, doing the work and then submitting it, it's crazy, right? Like we have about 250, 300 people live right now on different platforms. But the fact that 500 people are signing up and doing their homework, It's like mind-blowing stuff, absolutely mind-blowing stuff. So let's check out some of the best build submissions, right? We've got Lewis, I see you. I love this one because simply put, it's the small things for me. Like you see the way he's done the active selection of the selected NFT. Incredible, really, really incredible stuff. Really beautiful. Bao, I see you, dude. I love his take on his design. I love the green as well. It's popping. He's used the right tone of green. Really, really awesome, awesome color choice, dude. And this is my favorite, the slide out. Look at that. Oh, he's got a little slide out on the right. Right, really clean design. So awesome stuff, Bao. David Kiss, I see you, dude. Absolutely crushed it with your build. We have Sheriff Dean with their night mode, and they've actually jumped ahead and added in some notifications. And we are going to be adding in hot toast notifications as well today. I forgot to mention that. So we're going to have all the notifications added in today. Christian Tool, I see you adding in your look at that, perfectly followed the instructions. Great, great stuff. James Tuttle, I have to shout you out every time, dude. Coming in clutch. And here he just did something different, right? Different color scheme. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Looks good, bro. All right, Alicia Bobko, I see you absolutely killing it with the homework. Ali changed his entire design with his own logos, all this cool stuff. Brandon Chang, and yeah, and there's also, I want to mention Divyam. He just submitted his homework about 3 minutes before we went live. I see you, dude, in the Facebook group. Absolutely crushed it. You guys are all going to get those extra points. In fact, I'm going to show it right now. Divyam, I see you, dude. Look at this homework right now. There it is. Look at that, guys. Super clean. I mean, it's a bit pixelated, his screenshot, but it's so nice. He's added in hosted by, all this other good stuff. I see you guys. I appreciate the hard work, and I know when to shout it out. So well done, dude. I'm getting you those extra bonus points as well. So what do these points kind of amount to, right? Where is it going, right? So what's the prizes that you get by having all these points? First place prize, diamond mentorship. You're going to get a mentorship package with me, access to the entire Full Stack Hero, Zero to Full Stack Hero course, and you're going to get $500 in cash. So everything you see on my right, plus cash prize, I mean, it's golden, right? That's literally over £2,000 in worth of value there. Second place, platinum membership. You're going to get access to the entire course, over 100 hours of content, weekly coaching calls, weekly success coaching calls, Papa GitHub repo access, everything that you could want in your coding dreams. Here we are, second place. And third place, we're giving you 50% off, and we're giving you the Papa GitHub repo access. So there's 3 winners of third place as well, because we did a whole 3-3 thing, right? And yeah, so make sure you go ahead, get those prizes in to get your chance at winning these beautiful prizes. Don't forget to sign up. Remember, last day is tomorrow. Hit the link in the description, reserve your spot. And I'm going to close the doors to tomorrow's registration, by the way. So everyone who thinks, I'm going to sign up last minute. No, you're not. I'm closing the registration link literally an hour after we finish this live stream. So you either hit that link or you miss out on the free goodies. So that's how you do it. Sign up. And let's begin and jump into day 4 and complete the eBay clone challenge. I think it's time we just jump into some coding. We have a bit of fun and we build out the functionality that you guys came here today to see. Right? So here we have our day 4 homework submission. Once you've finished, full name, email, and your deployment link, same as the other days. Very simple process. And if you haven't and you can't find the Crowdcast link for the final days, just go ahead to papareact.com challenge and hit the sign up button here. We're updating this out. We're going to go ahead and send you out emails if you've registered here. So make sure you do one of the 2 sign-ups, either that or Crowdcast, and you're going to go ahead and see it. Jay's popping the links all over the chat right now, so make sure you go ahead and follow it out. Without further ado, let's go ahead and build out the customized the customized item NFT page. So let's go ahead and build this out right now, and let's go ahead and implement this bidding, buying, make offers functionality, all this cool stuff. Let's go build it right now. But before we do, quick little water break. I hope you guys are enjoying. Smash the like button, thumbs up if you're enjoying this stuff. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already. Over 50% of you haven't subscribed. What? That little bit of side eye. Anime says, Sunny, what's up, my boy? Love what you're doing. Thank you so much. Thank you for being an awesome member of the Papa Fam. I appreciate you. Johnny says, got my cuppa. That's what I'm talking about. All right. So we got the code. We got the code. My voice is slowly cracking. We got the code from yesterday. Let's dive straight into things and kick things off. So part 1, we need to add this page, right? So when I click on, let's go back to our home page. It's going to load up our listings. Now, when I click into, I'm going to make this a little bit more tame on background music. Right. So now when we click into one of these, right, we want it to basically go ahead and show me either the auction or the buy it now. But we want to have one page which does this kind of dynamically, right? It's going to go ahead and determine based on if it's an auction or buy now what to show on the screen. So let's go ahead and click into the JavaScript cheat sheet and you will see that nothing happens, right? So what we need to do here is firstly make this a link. So let's head over to our index. This is where we're listing out all of our listings, right? Now what you want to do is go ahead and we're essentially going to add a link component into our index. So first thing I want you guys to do is go ahead and let me go ahead and firstly pop it in 1 second. Right, so we're going to actually make our entire div a link, right? So this entire div that you see here, we're going to go ahead and make this a link to the relevant appropriate page. So I'm going to go ahead and circulate this with a Next.js link. We're going to cut this link, take it to the bottom of the div over here, and we're going to end out our link just like so. Hit save, and notice how we've imported link from next/link. Now you see it's complaining because it requires us to pass in an href as to where we want to go. Now here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have some string interpolation. So I'm going to do some curly brackets, backticks, and then I'm going to go ahead and say /listing / then the ID of the listing itself. So in this case, listing.id. Right, now what this is going to do is when I click on that listing, it's going to forward me to the page which is /listing / the listing ID. Okay, so in that case, let me go ahead and pull up my code, my demo on the other page as well. Let's pop this up on this side. There we go. And let's go ahead and pull this over here. So let's go test this out. If I click it, you see I go to listing /2. Now, the reason why we're getting a 404 is I haven't already made this page, right? So in this case, we can see our pages here, but I can't actually see the end result. I can't actually see that route. I can't see /listing /2 or whatever dynamic value we have there. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and add that route in right now. Now, in the case where you have dynamic values, so this could be 1, it could be 2, it could be ABC, it could be whatever the hell it wants, right? So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder inside of my pages called listing. And then inside of here, we're going to go ahead and have a square bracket and we're going to have something called the ID. So in this case, I'm actually going to decide to use a listing ID as the name. So sorry about that. I'm going to go ahead and actually delete that one. I'm actually going to go here, click on this, and I'm going to create a new file called listing ID. So listing ID.tsx. And yes, this is the Next.js 12 approach to doing this. However, if you want to know how to use the new Next.js 13 syntax, which again is an incremental upgrade, so you don't have to do it right now, you can actually incrementally change your code over to adopt the new server components, then make sure you subscribe because I'm going to be showing you how to do just that next week on the channel. So subscribe, like, and you know your boy's got you covered. Right. So at this point, what we do is we type in RFCE. Now, a lot of you are saying, why are we doing these square brackets? Now, this is because the square brackets resemble something called a wildcard. That square brackets means that I can actually have /listing / any value, and it's going to go onto that page. So it's called a wildcard, and this is how you end up doing it. So at this point, what we're going to go ahead and say is a listing page. Okay, hit save. And now what you can see is I can say, I am an item, right? And in this case, now you can see we're going to that page. Regardless if I'm on listing 1, 5, wherever I'm at, this is how we can go ahead and do what we need to do, right? So it works in a really, really nice way. And we can go ahead and get the value like so. Now, what I want to do is I need to get the listing ID. So I'm going to go ahead and get access to the Next.js router. So in this case, I'm going to say Next.js, import my use router. And what you can do here is if I console log, or in fact, let's just go to here and say I am an item. I'm going to say router.params. I believe it's params. let me just quickly find it. So it's router.query. Router.query.id, right? So in this case, oh, it's actually listing ID. So it's listing ID. And in fact, what we can do here is you see my type definitions aren't updated correctly, right? So the way we can fix this out is we can actually go ahead and do some little bit of type magic here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over next line and I'm going to destructure the listing ID. Now you're wondering, where's he getting listing ID from? Remember that whatever you put here is going to be your value here. So if it's ID, it's going to be ID here and so forth. And here we say equals router query, and we say as, and I'm going to go ahead and give it a listing ID, which is going to go ahead and allow me to append it inside of our code here. So now if I do dot, we should see listing. Oh no, sorry, I've already destructured it. So now I can use listing ID. And what we should see is I am an item 5. If I go to listing /2, I am an item number 2. Okay, so really, really cool stuff. Jacopo says, I can't wait till next week. That's the energy I'm talking about, because I'm going to cover Next.js 13 on this channel. So you're in the right place if you're here. And yeah, if anyone's debating about whether or not they should upgrade, then my opinion is yes, but make sure you do it in a controlled fashion. Don't just run ahead because it's the new and greatest stuff. Follow some tutorials. I'm going to help you out with that, and then I'll show you how to upgrade your code. Okay. But the guys over at Next.js are absolutely incredible. They're doing an amazing job. Okay, so at this point, now what we're going to do is, firstly, we can see we can pull in that listing ID. Great. So I'm going to firstly add in my header, and then we get some UI that we can look at. Okay, so we've got our wallet. We can connect our wallet. All that good stuff is still about. Right. So the first thing I want to really do is I'm going to pull up a reference so we can kind of see what we're working with. So on the left hand side, you can see we've got an image, and then we've got a few things happening on the right hand side. So we're going to go ahead and create a main section firstly. Right. So here we're going to have a main. A main. And inside of our main, I'm going to have a div with the image on the left hand side. Now we're going to use the media renderer to go ahead and do this. So we're going to go ahead and use the media renderer from Third Web. And we're going to go ahead and use the image listing. Now, how do we get the listing? See, in this case, we're going to this route, but we ain't got the item that we're actually looking at. How do we do that? So in this case, if we need to go ahead and get that information, we're going to have to connect to our NFT marketplace, right? We're going to have to go to the marketplace, and we're going to probably have to go to the collection as well. So in that case, how do we do this? Well, firstly, remember yesterday's code. We went ahead and we made a connection using the use contract call, the use contract hook from Third Web. We pass in our environment variable for the marketplace contract, which can be located here as well. And then we come over here and we basically go ahead and pop in the marketplace. Depending on what you're using is what's going to be your value here. So you can see you've got NFT collection. We're going to use marketplace. So this gives us our contract marketplace, right? Now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and get the listing information. Now, Third Web already identified that we're probably going to need this, and they made a bunch of hooks to make our life so easy, which is why I love them so much, honestly. Here we're going to go ahead and use one of those amazing hooks, and we're going to call it, and it's called use listing. Now, if you're wondering how the hell do I use this, all you would need to do is if you pop it in, you can actually go ahead, hover over it, and it shows you the type definition that you're probably going to need. So in this case, what I can actually do is I can just copy this type definition, pop it in, and not type definition, I mean the example. And then here I can start putting in the values. Now here's a little trick. If you don't know what you need to pop in, open the brackets and it gives you your first thing. So the first thing it's requiring is the contract. Second thing it's requiring is the listing ID. And we actually got that listing ID previously when I showed you. Right, so now I've got my data, which is renamed to listing, is loading, and error, right? So we've got all the information we essentially need. So now with my listing, I can actually go ahead and do what I needed to do in the previous example, right? So let's go ahead and uncomment this out. And we're going to go ahead and say that the media renderer source is going to be the listing ID image, the listing image itself. So in this case, I'm going to say source equals listing dot, and in this case you can see I got my IntelliSense asset dot image, right? Image. Now you can see here we've got some optional chaining. Now what I want to do is I want to just do some defensive programming and actually get rid of this, and you can see it's complaining, but I'm going to go ahead and have a little loading block here saying if it's loading, so if there is no listing, then we're going to return a is not found. So we're going to say listing is not found. Okay. And if it's loading, then we're going to go ahead and actually show. So let's go ahead and say if it's loading, then we're going to go ahead and show the header component as well as a div which is saying loading, loading the item, right? And you can actually put a p tag here as well saying loading item dot dot dot. Okay. Now, what's really awesome about Next.js 13, which we're not doing today, which I will cover in next week's video, is firstly, well, hey, we see our image, but in Next.js 13, you can actually use something called the layout, which makes this whole step easier. And I know if you're watching this right now, you're probably screaming at me saying use it, but we're using Next.js 12 example in here, but the code is actually Next.js 13, right? But next week, I will be showing you how to do that. So class name here, we're going to say text should be central. Let's go ahead and pop that in. And then we're going to say animate posts, animate posts. And I'll show you what we're doing here. We're going to say the text should be blue of 500. Now, if I refresh the page, you'll see it's loading the item. And once it's done loading the item, pop, it comes in with the media render. Now I don't need to do optional chaining because it's saying that when it only show this once it's here. Right. Next up, after this div, we're going to go ahead and have a source. But before we do, I'm going to style out my div and say that we should have a minimum size. So let's go padding of 10, border, MX of auto, and I'm going to go ahead and say large screens. We're going to do MX of 0. I'm going to get rid of my margin, and then max width restraint because I don't want it to go too big, right? And then on large screen, it will increase our max width constraint to an XL. Okay. So in this case now on small screens, you can see it's there, the max width, and on it gets a little bit bigger on the bigger screen, right? Now we don't have our max width constraint on the outer div at the moment, or the outer main, which we should add right now. Let's go ahead and do that right now. So I'm going to say class name equals max width of 6XL, similar to what we did yesterday, right? This is going to go ahead and enforce that max width constraint. Then we're going to go ahead and center it using MX Auto, give it a slight padding of P2. Flex, we're going to say by default on a mobile, it should be flex column, but on a large screen, I want it to put on flex row, okay? Then on, on a normal mobile view, or on every view actually, we're going to say space between the Y components of 10, okay? And then we're going to say that you should have some space between the X components of 5, so that's going to apply when we go into the large view, and then padding right of 10 as well, okay? So now you can see it's nicely centered and it's pushed across to the right, right? So that's pretty good. That's what we wanted. And now what we can do is after our div, we can add a section. And this section is going to be resemblant of this area right here. Okay. So let's go ahead and start popping in some of the details so we can start picturing this out. So we've got a div. Inside of it, we've got an H1, and we're going to have inside the H1, we're going to have listing.asset.name. Okay. Now you can see the JavaScript cheat sheet. And as you can see, it's going ahead and managing itself correctly as we would expect it to, right? P tag is going to be listing.asset.description. So here we're going to say listing.asset.description. Okay. Then we've got another P tag, and this one is going to have listing seller address. Okay. So in this case, we've got the description. Some of them do not have description. So I'm going to find one which does have a description so we can actually go ahead and see that example of that in action. So let's go ahead and pop this out. Now let's find one with a description, the PAPAFAM playlist. And I'm actually on Papa React's laptop, my bad. Okay, so I clicked into the wrong one. So in this case, we've got a description, we've got this. And in fact, I do want something called a user circle icon here as well. So inside of my selling address, I'm going to say user circle icon, pull that in from outline, right, from our outline dependencies. So in fact, I actually want the solid variant. I don't want this one. I want the solid variant from hero icons. And yep, there we go. And then I'm going to give it a bit of styling. In fact, I'm going to say that it's probably looking better if we did a height of 5. So a height of 5, like so. Okay, looking good. And in this case, now we've got that. And what we can do quickly to center this is go ahead and make it a flex box. So we can say flex. The item, now it goes onto the same edge. We can go ahead and say that the items should be central of one another. Give them space on the x-axis of 2. In fact, it plays a bit weird with the icon. So what we can do instead is first I'm going to change the sizing. And on the small screen and above, I'll make it return to the regular size. And then just for the for this part here, we're going to go ahead and I'm actually going to span in a style for the seller before we put the seller address. And this one I'm going to go ahead and say seller and have a space. And I'm going to say the font should be bold, and I want to do padding on the right of 1. And just like that, we push that little bit of a gap, right? So you could make that really drastic if you wanted to, padding of 5. You see that, but we're going to do a padding of 1. Awesome. Okay. So already looking a bit better. H1, let's go ahead and style this up. We're going to go ahead and say text should be extra large and the font should be bold. Now I'm going to do a quick pause here because I can see a few people asking about the final day event. So if you haven't already signed up to the final day event, I need you to go ahead and head over to crowdcast.io/C/challenge. So the links are all in the description. And what you will do is you will head over to the following page right now. On your screen. So you should head over to this page where you can go ahead and sign up. There's a lot of people going ahead and getting excited up in here. So you want to go ahead and make sure you sign up to this 5-day event, the final training day. This is the way we do the 6-figure roadmap to your developer software career, right? So make sure you sign up to that if you haven't already. Let's go ahead and jump back into the code. Okay, so in that case, we've got this looking pretty good. Let's head over back to the P tag. Here I'm going to make the gray description, so we're gonna have slightly gray description, and okay, that's already looking somewhat in the right direction. Okay, underneath our P tag we're gonna have another div, and this div is gonna actually take a column view, right? So we're actually just gonna be a column approach that we're essentially gonna follow here. So let's go ahead and get a bit dialed in. So here we're gonna have a P tag, and I'm gonna go ahead and say that it should be listing type. Right, and I'm going to make this font bold. There we go. Nice. And then here I'm going to have the listing type itself. So what is the listing? Is it a direct listing, or is it a is it an auction listing? So in this case, I'm going to say listing type. So in this case, we don't have the listing type. How do we get the listing type? Now we could go ahead, I guess, and say listing dot type. Okay, that's the one. I'm just trying to see how did I do that? Oh yeah, I did do that. My bad. I got a bit confused. So listing type, if it is a 0, then it's going to be known as a direct listing, right? And you can go ahead and also use something called the listing type. Yeah. If it's of type direct, then you can go ahead and say, oops, sorry, my bad. Then we can go ahead and say it's a direct listing, else it's a auction listing, right? And I'm just going to go ahead and save that file. Now you're probably wondering, where the hell did you get that from, right? We actually imported this from the Third Web SDK, right? So once you've got that, now we can actually go ahead and use that to compare and do a ternary operator to make sure we conditionally render in the right value. So now you can see this is a direct listing, and if I go into a auction listing, you will now see that it will say an auction listing in the appropriate spot. Okay, so that's exactly what we wanted. That's exactly what I was after. Underneath that, we're going to have a P tag. But firstly, I said that this was going to be a grid, right? So we're going to say grid. And because we're doing it in 2s, we're going to go ahead and say grid columns 2. Grid columns 2. Item should be central, and padding on the y-axis of 2. Okay, so now you can see it's in a column fashion of 2. So every 2 items, so 1, 2, the next one will come here, 3, 4, and so forth, right? So the next thing I want to have is a buy it now price. So here we're going to say buy it now price. Okay. And remember, although even it might be an auction, every auction or direct listing has a buy it now price, right? So even if there is an auction, you could just set a very high buy it now price, but let people bid up and so forth, right? But that's essentially how these things work in this marketplace sort of fashion, right? Here we're going to go ahead and say font should be bold. And underneath that, I want to have a P tag. And here I'm going to say the listing dot buyout currency, right? Value per token dot display value, right? Now you can see here it says 0.00005. So that's the price that we set, right? So after this, what I want to do is have a space, and I'm going to go ahead and say listing dot buyout currency value per token, and then we're going to go ahead and say symbol, and that's going to give us the currency. So in this case, Matic, right? So now you can see we've got this nice kind of listing out, right? So everything's listing out as we expected it. Okay, so at this point, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and have a button. Okay, And then for that button, and remember, Alicia says, I'm having some struggle signing up to the final day event. If you are having trouble signing up to the final day event, simply head over to papareact.com/challenge and sign up on that form if you haven't already. You will get an email when I go live and I will know who you are. So that is a backup plan if you can't sign up, but just make sure you sign up to one of those two, and at least that way we have you on record as signed up, right? So that should be your workaround. So buy now, and then we're going to go ahead and have a button. And for this button, I'm going to style it, say that this one should actually start on the second column. So I want it to kind of skip the first column, start on the second one. So that's how you do that. We're going to give it a slight margin top, background blue of 600. A font should be bold. Okay, the text should be white. Let me know if the music's good for you guys as well. I'm going to round the corners out. And we're going to do a width of 44, a padding Y of 4, and a padding X of 10. Okay, that's looking great. Okay, very nice. And at this point, you can see we're kind of moving towards the final goal. Now for this price over here, I'm going to actually say that this should be 4XL font bold. I want it to be very drastic, that price, because that's the main feature really that you're selling. And then underneath the button, we're good. Okay, so for that overall surrounding div, we're happy with the styling. And then we've got the section. So the section I need to style as well. So for the section, we're going to go ahead and do flex one. We're going to say space Y, space Y of 5. And we're going to say padding bottom of 20 and a large. On the large screen, we're going to get rid of that padding bottom. Right. Now, what is this for? That padding bottom is on the mobile view. I've got this little gap. I don't like it being stuck to the bottom, so I've given it a bigger gap. And then on the small view, I get rid of that padding. So that's essentially what we've just done there. Okay. Nice. Now, that's kind of what we wanted. Yeah. So let's continue forward. Yep, let's move forward. Okay, so at this point now, we've got the button done. I'm going to move underneath my final div, and I'm going to go ahead and conditionally render out the next section. Now, this is where it gets quite interesting, right? So we're going to have two sections now. We're essentially going to go ahead and say, if it's a direct offer, then we should have a direct bidding, as in make offer section. And we want to show the offers and that kind of stuff. But we're going to jump into that in just a bit, right? So before we do that, right, so I'm just going to go ahead and comment things out. So I'm saying if direct show offers here. Right? So imagine if it was a direct listing, you'd show your offers that have been made for that purchase there. Okay, so we're going to do that in just a sec. And then underneath that, we're going to go ahead and say, we're going to have a div, and this div underneath here is going to be basically the button to say make an offer or bid on this auction, right? So in this case, we're going to have a horizontal row, so a line, and then we're going to go ahead and say a p tag. I'm going to do our little check that we talked about earlier, listing.type. If the listing is a direct type, then we're going to go ahead and say make an offer, right? Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and say bid on this auction. Okay. So at this point, you can see bid on this auction because we're in an auction listing. But if we were to go over to our direct auction, then what you're going to notice is that it's going to be a make an offer button instead, because you're not allowed to bid on a direct listing. You just can buy or make an offer. So at this point, we can see make an offer. Awesome, right? So we're looking pretty good so far. Now for that p tag, I want to go ahead and say that that p tag should span two things. So we're going to say column span 2, and its parent needs to also be a grid in this case, because so that underneath area is going to be a grid of its own, right? We're going to say space on the y, space the y items by value of 2. Items should be center, and we're going to justify everything towards the end. Okay, and now for that horizontal line, I'm going to go ahead and column span it for 2, so that way it uses up the full space. There you go, that's using up the full space. The p tag is also using up the full space, right? And I want to bold this out as well, so font bold. Okay, so our p tag is going to be make an offer or bid on this auction, and then we're going to go ahead and actually have the information about the auction underneath it. So if it's okay, so I'm going to have some comments over here. So XSS, is this live? Yes, this is live. All right, so here I'm going to end up saying remaining time on auction goes here. So wherever I've got comments, we're going to code that out afterwards. But for now, I'm trying to handle the generic stuff, right, together. So at this point, what we're going to do is I'm going to have an input. And this one is going to go ahead and say, right, it's going to go ahead and be responsible for, let's have a placeholder, which just says enter value for now. Okay. And underneath that placeholder, I'm going to have another button, right? And you can actually go ahead and wrap this in a form, which we probably will do in a second. We're going to say listing.type, if it's of type, listing type dot direct. So you can see we're going to use this pattern a lot. Then we're going to go ahead and say offer. Otherwise, you're going to bid. So think about what we're doing here, right? Let's go ahead. Sorry, I've actually done that wrong. It should be listing type is equivalent to, there we go. So now you can see make an offer. You put in your value of 0.0 whatever, sorry, 0.00001, and then you would offer it, right? And if it was a bid, you would say bid and so forth. So firstly, let's style it out so it looks a bit more, you know, what we actually expected or what we want it. So here we're going to say BG should be red 600. The font should be bold. The text should be white, and we're going to round the corners with a 4 value. So rounded 4, width of 44, padding Y of 4, and a padding X of 10, right? Hit save. And now you can see we've got this nice approach. We've got buy it now price, and we've got the make an offer button, right? And if we go ahead and show you the auction, let's go ahead and see. You can see bid on this auction, and you've got the bid. Now the inputs needs styling itself as well. So we're going to go ahead and say here, we're going to do border P of 2, and we're going to say rounded large margin right of 5. Okay. So at this point, we've got a nice kind of, you know, border going on here. And you could even go ahead and customize the outline effect as well with kind of, you know, the outline. You can go ahead and start this out. You can actually say outline, you know, red 500 if you really wanted, and you can go ahead and get like a bidding. You see that? That's kind of cool as well. And now you can go ahead and enter in a value for when you're bidding. A red kind of symbolizes bad, so I'm going to get rid of that for now. I'm just going to leave it on the default. Okay, but that's just a little trick as to what you can do. Now here I want to format this. I want to basically say something like, you know, put a bid down, or, you know, show this or show that. Like we should show back certain things based on what type it is. So for here, I'm going to go ahead and say format placeholder. Okay, format placeholder. And what I'm going to do is make a function which is going to go ahead and get executed in this part here. So I need to go ahead and make this function at the top. And this is going to help me have some nice formatting for the bid amount. And the reason being is I want to have an amount there shown if there is a bid amount. Okay. So in this case, I'm going to say const. In fact, yeah, we could do that now. We could say const format placeholder. So in this case, format placeholder equals, and this is going to be a direct function. It doesn't need to be async. And we're going to go ahead and check. We're going to say if the listing dot type is equivalent to a listing type direct, right? Direct. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and return something saying enter the offer amount. Okay, so we're going to say return a string, which is going to say enter the offer amount. Okay. And here what we could do is we can go ahead and say if there is no listing, then simply return. Okay. So in this case, we've got this. So no listing, there we go. And if it's not, this is a direct auction. So enter offer amount. And then we can go ahead and do the same thing. We can say if there is a listing type is auction, then we can say enter the bid amount. So in this case, enter your bid amount, right? Now we are going to customize this afterwards so that it actually goes ahead and shows us the minimum bid requirement that is there. So imagine when you place bids, if someone put a bid in for 0.1, the next natural bid would have to be 0.15, for example. And we've set those numbers up previously, and I'll show you how we're going to go ahead and do that, right? But we're going to go ahead and upgrade this afterwards. So eventually it will say enter the bid amount, and it will say current minimum bid, and you can go ahead and basically show that number there. So you know what number you kind of have to beat, right? That's kind of a cool way of putting it. Okay. So with that said, we're going to come back to this point here. So we're going to go ahead and say, put a little comment here saying to do, and we're going to say improve bid amount. Right, so we're going to come back there afterwards. And notice what I did there. I used something called the to-do highlighter. So this is a nice little extension that you can use, and it's also got fix me. And that's, if you want to see how I do that, there is an awesome video on my channel about the top VS Code extensions. Make sure you check it out. Right, quick little water break before we carry on. We're moving at a very good pace right now. Right. let's jump in. Okay. So at this point now, how do we get the remaining bid time? Okay, so that's what I want to do now. So I want to get the remaining bid time. So remember where I had that comment, remaining time for the auction goes here. Here, I'm going to go ahead and say if the listing type is of listing type auction, then I'm going to go ahead and only show the following, right? So I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm going to have a fragment so I can have, sibling components next to each other. I'm going to say current minimum bid. Okay. And then I'm going to have another p tag saying the minimum amount. So this is going to be the minimum amount, right? So we need to find that value, which I'm going to go ahead and add afterwards. Then we're going to have the time remaining. And then we're going to have a p tag with that time over there as well. Okay, so I'm going to show you how we're going to get these two values now, the current minimum bid and the time remaining. Well, first up, we need to go ahead and get the minimum bid amount. And thank you so much for that lovely donation from Nicey. Greetings from Germany. Good stuff. I appreciate you, dude. €5 donation. Thank you so much for being an awesome member of the PAPAFAM. And if you want to support the channel, hit the join button down below to join the PAPAFAM membership. Right, so with that done, we're going to go ahead and actually use the following. So they do have an awesome hook for getting the minimum bid amount, right? But we're going to go ahead and, as we've made it one page which handles both types, I've actually customized it a little bit further to add a use effect which will dynamically pull in and update a value for us. So we need to get a piece of state now, which is going to go ahead and store the minimum bid, minimum next bid. And if you are having separate pages for your direct listings and auctions, I would recommend using their special hook. It's because I'm using one, right? So set minimum next bid. Oops, sorry. Set minimum next bid. And then here we're going to go ahead and say use state, right? And then for this, we're going to go ahead and actually provide in a certain type. So here, what I want to do is I want to give it an object type, right? So we're actually going to set like an object in our state. And here I'm going to have a display value, which is going to be the one that we're going to show. And I'm going to have a symbol, which is going to be the string value as well. Okay. And this is actually allows me to go ahead and do it. So Delvin says, Sunny, if auction lapses, can I list the same NFT for a direct purchase? If so, how? I believe it'll get taken off the marketplace, but we're not going to cover it when it expires today. We're just going to cover the sort of listing, buying, bidding, making offers functionality. If you want me to do that, I'll make a future video, or in Zero to Full Stack Hero, I'll run that through in a coaching call. Right? So in this case, we've got the set minimum bid. Okay, cool. And then I'm going to have a use effect underneath all of this stuff. So I'm going to have a use effect, which is going to get triggered when my component renders, right? So in this case, I'm going to have a use effect, which goes ahead and triggers. And this is how we write our use effects. We have a dependency array, a bit of code that runs on the initial mount. And then whenever any of the things in the dependency change, it will go ahead and run as well. So for this use effect, I'm going to go ahead and basically say, if there is no listing ID, or if there is no contract, then we're going to return. So you see, defensive programming rules help us out a lot, right? So this is going to be the first thing we want to do. Secondly, I'm going to say if it's a listing type auction. So if it's of listing type, if listing type is auction, and again, here you can see I've got a optional chaining value. So what we could do here is we could also go ahead and say, if there is no listing as well, then we should go ahead and return. And then we don't need our optional protecting block. So only if it's an auction do I want to go ahead and fetch the minimum next bid, right? So I'm going to create a helper function, which is going to go ahead and get called for this. Now, notice how I've got a bunch of different variables that I'm relying on. So I have to add this into my dependency array. First up is listing ID. Second up is listing. And the final one is contract. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and make that fetch minimum next bid, which is an asynchronous function. And this function, I'm going to go ahead and protect ourselves again. I'm actually going to go ahead and say, if there is no listing or there we go. Sometimes it's a bit annoying. It throws me off when that happens. If there is no listing ID or if there's no contract, we're going to go ahead and return. Right, so we're going to go ahead and return. And then what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and say we should set the minimum. So firstly, I need to get that bid amount, right? So we've got access to the contract itself. which is the marketplace contract. So what I can do here is I can actually go ahead and say const minimum next bid, or minimum next bid, let's just say minimum bid response equals await. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the contract, say go to the auction, and I'm going to get the minimum next bid from the listing ID that we pass in. So this will go to the listing that I've listed here. So that basically the page that we're on is going to get the minimum next bid. And yes, there is a hook for it. The only reason I'm not using that hook is because sometimes the listing type is direct. Okay. So Rockbille says gas fee and goalie need to upload listing contracts too high. That's fine, dude. You just need to go ahead and use something like Polygon if you find it too high. Or remember, in production, your prices will typically be higher, so it's not going to be a problem. But you can feel free to use Polygon if you find the gas fees are a bit of a headache. So in this point, we get the minimum bid response, okay? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the minimum next bid to a value. And notice how here we've got display value and symbol that we set up previously. So first up, the display value. Well, we get the response object from our from what we called, and you can see we've got a bunch of things that get returned. Well, the display value I'm going to store here, and also the symbol I'm going to go ahead and store from the mid response, and we're going to go ahead and get the symbol like so. Now you can restructure this and make it actually destructure at this point to get the display value and the symbol. So this is called ES6 destructuring, and then you can go ahead and neaten your code up like so. So kind of cool way to do it, right? So at this point, we've got this looking pretty cool. And yeah, I know what you're saying. This is doing the same as this, and I agree with you, but you don't want your code coupled, right? So if I was to get rid of it here and then we weren't checking it here, you might have an error in the future where you're not checking it. So in this case, by doing this, you're going ahead and making sure that it doesn't matter which call happens or which code gets changed. You haven't coupled those two elements together. You have protective braces in each. That's what I'm saying, okay? So let's go ahead and move on. So we've got this fetch minimum next bid. So what I can do to make sure that this is all working now is I can go ahead and just simply console log out my minimum next bid, and let's see what the value is. So let's go ahead and pop this over on the right hand side, pop over my inspector, and we should see that if I was to refresh the page, we get a display value come back to us. So undefined while it's loading, then it's going to go ahead and begin the loading process, and we get our display value right there. So we've got 0.0 matic, which means that no bid has been currently made on the auction, which is correct, right? No bid has been made on that auction yet. So at this point, we can go ahead and upgrade our format placeholder with that information. So down to format placeholder, what we're going to do is I'm going to actually go ahead and say, this is correct at the moment, but, right, I want to go ahead and firstly say, if there is no minimum next bid, okay, so if the display value is equivalent to, if there is no display value, then we're going to return enter bid amount. Otherwise, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pass my number. So I'm going to say if the minimum next bid is equivalent to 0, actually, you know what, we don't need this one. I'm going to get rid of that. We're going to say if we're going to pass my minimum next bid, and we're going to say if it's greater than 0, if it's equal to 0, if it's equal to 0, there we go. Then we're going to go ahead and return enter bid amount, because nobody's bidded on this previously, right? Otherwise, what I'm going to do is I'm going to string interpolate. So get rid of these, and I'm actually going to go ahead and pop in my own value. I'm going to say minimum next bid dot display value, and then I have a space, and I'm going to do symbol or more. So it's going to say enter the bid. So now what you can see is it will say enter bid amount. And if there was already a bid on there, it would say like enter, it would say that number or more. So it'll be like 0.001 or more, right? You can go ahead and do something like that. So if we see this, it'll be 0.1 or more, right? So that's kind of how we go ahead and get that next value that we can go ahead and do, right? Right, so let's go ahead and have a quick water break. A lot of people are asking what gas fees are. Gas fees are simply the cost it takes to carry out a transaction on the blockchain. So you have to pay to interact with it, and that's how you essentially do it. All right, let's carry on. Now, any comments who are saying this ain't working, that's not working, guys, stop complaining and get some support in the group chat, right? So it does work because we're doing it right now. Okay, so we've got the bid amount. So now current minimum bid, let's go ahead and use that. So where I have the current minimum bid, let's go ahead and find it. Here we are, right? So let's go ahead and change my code so it actually shows us a little bit more of what's going on. So we should only show this current minimum bid. Where is it? Current minimum bid. If the display value is greater than 0, right? So what I'm actually going to do here is I want to go ahead and do the following. So I'm going to say something like current minimum bid, and I'm going to say minimum next bid dot display value, and this is going to have a space bar, and it's going to say minimum next bid symbol. Symbol. There we go. Save. All right. So now we can see the minimum next bid is 0.0 matic, which is fine, right? That's correct. That's exactly what we wanted. That's it's 0. The minimum next bid is 0. So you can literally enter in anything and you can bid and you can go ahead and get it. So you can actually format this, you know, if it's 0, you can say there is no minimum bid at the moment, or nobody has bidded yet, no bidders. You can do that kind of thing as well, right? Now let's get the time ending, right? So because this is a auction type listing, what we can do here is we can actually get the date, the time left. So we can say listing dot, and it's called end time in epoch seconds. So, end time in epoch seconds. Now, this essentially gives us back a timestamp which tells us how many seconds are left of the auction, right? So what I can do is I'm actually going to use something called the countdown library from React Countdown, okay? So it's called React Countdown, and I'm going to show you what it is right now. So you simply want to go ahead and install something called React Countdown. And this is a customizable component for React, which you pass in a little thing. So you pass in a timestamp, and you can go ahead and show a real-time ticker, right, which shows you back your value. So we're going to go ahead and add that into our dependencies right now. And then once that's done, so that's going to take a second to load, we're going to import that as a dependency at the top of our file. Come back down to our code, and where we have this, we're going to go ahead and pop in the following. So we're going to go ahead and say, rather than time remaining, we're going to pop in a countdown component. And over here, we're going to simply say that the date that we pass in is going to be, we're going to pass a number, right? And we're going to say listing dot end time in epoch seconds. We're going to make that a value to string. So we're going to basically turn it to a string. Then we're going to go ahead and convert that to a number, because this value that comes back is big numberish, right? So this is not a type that we can pass easily. So we're going to make that a string. Then we're going to pass that to a number. So this is when they say data structure algorithm, even that you should understand what we're kind of doing there, right? So after that, we're going to go ahead and say times by 1,000, because it's in the milliseconds. So we want it to become seconds. So we go ahead, pop that up, and just like that, now we have basically saying 4 days, 22 hours, 1 minute and 35 seconds till this auction ends, which is amazing. That is correct, right? So that's the end time. And you see how it's real time as well. So it's really, really nice addition. Okay, so that's how we're getting the end time of our listing. So you see, we're moving at a really damn good pace right now. Okay, so next up, we've got the bidding working pretty well here, and we can go ahead and head over to a direct listing, and you notice how it's a little bit different. So let's check this out. All right. Peter, I can see you're confused about Ethereum proof of work to proof of stake. Don't worry about it. I'll explain it in a coaching call. So let's go to a buy now. And here you can see make an offer. So make an offer is very simple. It's just there as make an offer, but we don't see the bidding, which is correct, right? This is exactly what we expected to happen. So at this point, now let's go ahead over to our auction listing. And here you go. So the next thing I guess we want to do is show the biddings if you can make an offer. But let's in fact implement that functionality as a whole, right? Let's actually implement the ability to actually bid on an auction and so forth, right? So how the hell do we do that? Well, let's go over to our button at the end, and let's say on click of the button, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and say create bid or offer. Okay. Create bid or offer. right? And we're going to create this function, and this is going to be responsible for doing all the magic that we expect. So if it's a bid type, it's going to do a bid. If it's a, you know, another type, if it's a direct listing, it's going to make an offer. Okay, so create bid or offer. So we've gone ahead and done that there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that in just a second. But firstly, I need to capture the value that the user types in here. Now, there's so many ways you can do this. There's through a reference, there's through state, there's even through a form submission. In this case, what we're going to do is we're actually going to do a piece of state. So I like to show you a bunch of different ways. We're going to say on change. We're going to have on change. We're going to, every time the user types in, an event gets fired off. We're going to set the bid amount, which I haven't created yet, to e.target.value. So this is basically what the user is typing in. So e.target.value is what the user is typing in. Now, at this point, why is there an error there? Yeah, set bid amount. There we go. Let's go ahead and create this bit of state. So we're going to say bid amount. So bid amount. Set bid amount equals use state, and there we go. Okay, so for the bid amount, we're going to go ahead and initialize it with a blank value to begin with. Okay, now for this bid amount, we're going to go ahead and you see it says undefined, undefined, or more, right? So that's a bit of a problem right now, because what we're doing here is it thinks that, oh no, there we go, we fixed it, we saved. Okay, so at this point, let's go ahead over to set bid amount. So as soon as I type in now, there we go, that's nice. All right, so we want to go ahead and create this create bid or offer function. Let's go ahead and implement the functionality of this. So for create bid or offer, this is going to be your main function, like where the juicy kind of part is, right? So here we're going to have a try catch block for a bunch of error handling, right? If there is an error at any point, we're going to console log the error. So we're going to go ahead and error it out, and we're going to pass out that error like so. Okay, in the meantime, what we're going to do is firstly, we're going to check if the network is on the correct network or not. Now, how do we do that? Well, we're going to need to go ahead and pull in a bunch of dependencies in order to do so. So I'm going to save us a bit of time and just pull in everything that we could possibly need just so we have it available to us, right? So you see here, we're pulling in this over the top. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that. These are all the dependencies that we're going to go ahead and use, right? So eventually we're going to use them all out. But the one that I'm interested in right now is use network and use network mismatch. So first up, we need to initialize them so we can actually go ahead and use them. So remember previously we used these two hooks in the second day, I believe. So here we're going to go ahead and initialize it. So we don't need the first value in this array destructuring. We just need the switch network, and we need to check if the network is mismatched or not. So that's fine. We've got that ready. So heading back down to our create bid or offer, let's go ahead and check if the user is on the correct network or not, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to say if there's a network mismatch. So imagine you're on the Ethereum network, but you should be working on the Polygon network. Then we're going to go ahead and say, firstly, we're going to check that the switch network is there. So switch network, I'm going to make sure it's there. And then I'm going to go ahead and switch the network to the network that you are currently on. Now, remember, this one is the constant that we initialized in the beginning over in our utils. So make sure that that's always the same one that we're using, because then it's not going to be inconsistent, right? So at this point, we've got the network down. So that's great. All right, so it's going to switch network if we're on the wrong network. And then we're going to go ahead and do a, sorry, I've actually screwed that one up. Let me go back and check something. Okay, yeah, there we go. So we're going to do that first, and then we're going to return. Okay, so we're going to exit the function at that point. Now here, what we're first going to do is handle a direct listing. And then we're going to handle a auction listing. Okay, so first up with the direct listing, we're going to say if the listing type is of a direct, and then we're going to do the same thing here for if the listing type is auction. Right, so we've got our two blocks of code here. So first up, let's go ahead and implement this one. So now what we need to do, I want to firstly go ahead and check. All right, so think of it this way. If a user bidded the same amount as the buyout price, right? So think about what I just said there. If the user entered in the bid price of the buyout price, then what we should do is automatically trigger a buy, right? Otherwise, if it's any other amount, we should trigger a bid, right? So we're going to first have to implement the buy now functionality, which we're probably going to need for both, right? So that's going to work for both buy now. So what we're going to do is pause here and actually implement the buy now functionality before we proceed on. So let's go ahead and create a new function now called buy NFT, right? So this is going to be called this is an asynchronous function. So it's going to be called buy NFT, and this one is going to be an asynchronous function, just like so. Okay, and inside of here, what we're going to do is we're going to firstly check if there is a network mismatch. And yes, what you probably could do at this point is go ahead and make this a little bit more optimal, right? You could probably go ahead and make sure that you could probably refactor that out and just say check network mismatch and that kind of thing, and put that in a util folder and so forth, right? Probably going to make it a little bit easier. Now, what's really nice about Third Web is they've made the ability to buy the NFT so easy, right? So all you need is a one-liner to buy it, right? So the way we do this is we actually use something called the use buy now hook. So this is the one that we're actually going to use. Now, if you hover over it and you scroll down, they show you the exact syntax that you're going to need to go ahead and use it. So let's just copy that in, head back down over here, and this is exactly what we need. Now notice how we're getting a block here because we've got the same is loading, and so forth. So you could rename this to, you know, like is buy now loading and so forth. But in this case, I'm just going to get rid of them because we don't need them for this demo. But that's how you would use them if you needed to, right? And then we're going to pass in the marketplace contract here. So the marketplace, now I need to make sure that that's under my initialization, even though JavaScript usually handles that. That's fine. We should do it in the correct order always. So now we have this access to a buy now object, right? A buy now instance. So let's go ahead and do a one-liner to actually allow us to buy, right? So in order to do this, it's a lot simpler than you might think. All we now need to do is go ahead and call our buy NFT await buy now function. So we're going to say await, and we'll do buy now. Okay, then we pass in some variables. So this is an object, and if we go ahead and press Control Spacebar, you can see the items that it requires. So we actually need to pass in 3: buy amount, the type, and the ID. So firstly, the ID is the listing ID itself that we're on. Second up is the buy amount. Now this is going to be the quantity. In this case, it's going to be 1 because we haven't implemented more than 1 in our app, right? And the final thing is going to be the type, right? So the type here is actually going to be the listing.type. Okay, and in this case, what we could do is, you see, we're not checking for that. We could go ahead and say if there is no listing or contract, then we can go ahead and protect ourselves like so. So we can actually go ahead and protect ourselves the entire way. We can say if there's no listing or any of that stuff, then you shouldn't execute this function, right? So once that's done, what we do is we actually get back a few things. We get on success and on error. So at this point, the second argument is basically what happens afterwards in the form of promises, right? So let's go ahead and press Control Spacebar. You can see we get on success, on settled, on error. Now this is actually using the use query pattern. So if you do want to refactor this and use query, you can go ahead and do that. In fact, in this case, I'm going to just make use of these simple on success callbacks. So here, if it's a success, I'm going to go ahead and say, you know, you successfully bought. So in this case, we're just going to say success. And eventually I'm going to add toaster notifications and so forth. And then I need to redirect the user back to the home screen when they've successfully bought it. In fact, what I'm going to do here, just to make sure that we know, is I'm going to go ahead and say alert, right? So it's going to pop up on our screen. Then we're going to get a console log with the information on the screen. Then we're going to redirect the user. So I'm going to replace their URL to a /. Now, the reason I'm replacing is because technically it should close the listing, right? So we're actually going to replace it. You can't go back after that. Now, if there was an error, we're going to go ahead and log out the user. Okay. And I'm going to alert the user saying NFT could be bought. And I'm just going to say error, right? Error, NFT could not be bought, and so forth. Okay. Now, at this point, you could also, for context, pass out the variables and the context so you have more information to work with. Same with the success and so forth. But let's go ahead and actually see if this did what we thought it would do. So if we did this correctly, we should be able to buy this item right now. So let's go into our item and let's go ahead and click buy now. So I'm going to open up my console right now. So just like that, we're going to go ahead and click buy now. And I've clicked it already, and I'll need to connect my wallet. So it's going to probably error out now. Let's go ahead. Oh, we haven't actually connected the button yet. That's why nothing happened. So first up, let's go ahead and see if the user is, let's go ahead and say, well, we have, where's my button for buying? Let's see, button, create bid or offer. And then we have another button over here, which we're going to go ahead and say on click. And it's going to be buy NFT. Okay. Okay, so let's connect our wallet. Let's go over here and let's buy now. And now what you can see is we should have a MetaMask prompt in a second pull up, right? So offer popped up. It says an offer for the price, which is correct. Now we're going to approve. So we're going to actually authenticate this purchase. And now what you can see is the offer is pending. Now this will redirect me if it's all good, but let's go ahead and have a look in the events section over here. So this is a new offer being made. So in this case, we should see auction close. Let's see once it's done. See, the offer is pending. The offer was successfully made. Now we should see an alert, NFT bought successfully. Once I click OK, we should redirect. Amazing. And then you can see that now we can see if I go ahead and refresh our marketplace. Back over here, by the way, it says success. We even got a receipt. So let's go over here. Success. Amazing. We should be rendering with the key props. I'm not sure why we're not doing that. Let's have a look afterwards. But you get a nice receipt of the purchase. And this, I believe, is the one that's sold. Let's see. Auction closed. No, that's not the one. Okay. Yeah, but it did definitely go through. All right, that's perfect. It went through. Let's try another one. Let's try the JavaScript cheat sheet, right? Let's go ahead and buy this NFT right now. So 0.0004 Matic. Let's go ahead and buy that. So I'm not going to click anything else. I'm just going to show you that this actually does work, in fact. So I'm going to head and click to buy now. Then we go ahead and head down to confirm. It's going ahead and it's going to run up this transaction. Okay. And we should see our marketplace get updated here in just a second. I believe I am on the correct marketplace as well. Yep, so you can see new sale. There we go. Coming in clutch. 0.004. A buy order is coming in. There we go. 0.004 NFT bought successfully. Amazing. And just like that, that will disappear in a second because it was bought. Amazing stuff, guys. There you have it, proof. In fact, the one that I showed you previously was in fact this, because what happened is a new offer was made and the auction was closed because it was an auction listing, whereas the direct listing was technically a new sale event. So there you go. That's actually proof that it's working, right? So next up, what we have to implement is the offers and the bidding process, right? So as I mentioned before, when you make an offer, in this case, when you make a bid or an offer, if it's the same price as the bid, then what we really want to do is actually go ahead. So let's go to a auction, for example. What we really want to do is make it so that you actually just buy out the NFT if you've selected the same amount as the bid amount, right? So if that makes sense. So if you put in basically a bid amount of 0.0004, you should just buy it, right? So in this case, let's do that. So if the listing type is, let's have a look, where am I at? Okay, so where am I at? Direct, so fetch minimum next bid, no. We're on the buy now, no. Create bid or offer, here we are. So direct listing, okay. So and what I need to do is I need to pass out the numbers, right? So how do I pass and check these two numbers? Well, firstly, I've got the listing, I've got the buyout currency, about price. So what I'm gonna do is that's of type big number. We can't compare that very easily. So I'm gonna convert that to a string, okay? Then I'm gonna compare this to the bid amount that the user has entered in, but the bid amount is not in the correct currency. So what we need to use is a special ethers library. So firstly, I'm going to import ethers from ethers directory. Then we're going to go ahead and say ethers.utils.parse ether. Okay, now I know it says ether and we're using Matic, but really what happened is the developers got lazy. They didn't change the naming, and ethers stands for Mumbai, Polygon, whatever you're using, it still works the same, right? It's a subcurrency, right? It's not actually ether, it's using the subcurrency like Matic and so forth. So it just depends what network you're on. So at this point we've got the bid amount. So I'm going to say bid amount, and then we're going to go ahead and say toString. Okay, so now what's really happened here is we have a comparison between the listing buyout price and we're passing our ether, and we've got two string values and we're comparing those string values. So these will be in the same subcurrency basically, and now it'll be like 0.0004 is equal to whatever I entered in at that subcurrency as well. If that is the case, then what we can say is the buyout price was met, right? So you met the buyout price. So instead, we're just going to execute our buy NFT function, and then we're going to return. Okay, so this is a way of basically saying if you put in the same number that, you know, whatever you basically made an offer to buy at the same price as, you know, you would have otherwise done, then, you know, we might as well just buy the thing outright. Okay, so the next up thing that we're going to do is we need to make something called make offer. So make offer, we've got here, use make offer function. So again, I'm going to go over into this, highlight over it, and this one we can go ahead and copy our make offer like so. Head over under our contract and let's pop it in. We don't need the loading, we don't need that. We can go ahead and remove this for the contract itself. Now we have our make offer call. So what I can now do is head back down to my create bid or offer, and I can go ahead and say, after this, we're going to go ahead and say await. In fact, we're going to just make it very clear, right? We're going to go ahead and say the buyout price was not met. So let's go ahead and make an offer, right? So let's go ahead and check this out. We're going to say await make offer. Okay, and in this case, you see we pass in a few variables, and if we press Control Spacebar, we can see that the listing ID and the price per token are the mandatory elements. But in this case, we're also going to pass in quantity just to make it crystal clear. So the listing ID in this case is the listing ID, but we've got ES6 tricks, so we can go ahead and shorthand that. And we got the price per token is the final amount, and this is going to be the bid amount because that is what I'm saying is my price or my offer, right? And again, this is using the use query return statements. We have the on success, on error calls, and so forth. So we're going to say on success, we're going to basically say offer was made successfully, a success call was made, and then we're going to redirect the user. Well, in fact, we're not actually going to redirect the user after that, right? We're just going to leave them on the page to see what their offer is. And they're also going to have the on error condition as well. And here we're going to go ahead and say error out, the offer could not be made, something went wrong. And then we're going to log out the error if anything was to happen. So at this point, you've actually successfully made an offer. Believe it or not, it is that simple to make an offer, right? So now we've made the offer, how do we present the offers on the screen? Well, we can go ahead and use this use offers hook. So you can literally see the guys over at Third Web made like hooks for everything to help us out. It blows my mind. It's so cool, right? So now what we can do is we can go ahead and get that. And you see, we've got these perfect examples we can use. So let's go under here. And let's go ahead and pop it in like so. And here you can see we can replace this with the first one being the contract, the second one being the listing ID. And then here we don't need the error, we don't need that. We just got the offers instead. So if I go ahead and was to console log my offers out now, we should see, in fact, in our code that we have, so if I go ahead and do Command F12, we should see that I should have an array of offers. And right now the array of offers is 0. So let's go ahead and check, right? And in fact, I'm on a auction right now. So let's go to a direct listing so I can actually make an offer. So we are at a buy now, for example, the React Basics 101. If you want access to that, you remember, just sign up. That's fine. So let's go ahead and make an offer amount. So I think I've messed up for some reason. Okay, but anyway, make an offer. So 0.003, 0.00006. No, it's 1, sorry. And let's make an offer. And I think that's because I messed my keys up. I'll show you that in a second. Buyout price was not met, making an offer. Okay, awesome. So then let's give permission to access your Wraptomatic. Yes. And then it's going to go ahead and ask me another question. Approve token spend. So in this case, this should be able to make an offer right now. Let's go ahead and see. Check this out. Once it's done. And this is incredibly powerful stuff. Do not underestimate what this is actually doing. It's actually incredible. Right? There's approving that spend on the blockchain. It approved it. Now we should be able to see that it was made. In this case, okay, so we have a little error here. Internal jurisdiction balance. Okay, so this is because the gas price changed most likely. Yep, so transaction may file require. Okay, so at this point, let's try one more time and make the offer once it's done. I believe that was a temporary issue. I think I've had that a little bit before. Let's give it another go. In the meantime, what we could do is carry on with the bidding and then come back and fix that afterwards. But that should work. I have run into this issue before. I've actually forgotten the reason what it was for, but yeah, so we had the same issue again. This is for the balance amount. However, that's fine. We can come back to this. Unpredictable gas limit. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Okay, so we're going to come back to that in just a second. That's completely cool. In fact, what I do want to quickly fix here as well is my keys they're not kind of, being rendered out correctly here. So heading back over to our code, we should always have keys when we're mapping through our index. So I want to kind of make sure that we're doing that correctly. So when I listed through, here's why. Damn it. Right, so my key should have been on my link component. Okay, so here when I'm mapping through, my link component should have had a key. That actually breaks a lot of things. You do not want to do that, guys. Okay. And also what I forgot to do was where I had my link, right? We want to actually style out that link as well. So I'm going to create all that kind of class stuff that we have over here. I'm going to pass into my link as well. That's why I thought something changed. I was like, this don't look right. Right, there we go. Nice. Okay, so at this point now, I'm going to go ahead and click into an auction. I'm going to click into a React Basics. Right, so let's refresh now because I've messed things up. My keys were all screwed up. Okay, there we go. So hopping over into my React Basics. Now it loads out the item. Okay, so I've kind of screwed something up here. PAPAFAM playlist. Okay, so my keys are a bit muffled or broken right now. We will see what's going on. In fact, I think it might be to do with the fact that I changed this a bit around. Okay, well, we'll come back to this, right? We'll come back to this anyway. So at this point, I want to kind of get the functionality down. That just seems like a little temporary bug. So at this point, what we need to do is go ahead and finish out the auction aspect, right? So when I'm on an auction screen, yeah, see, my keys are just messed up. That's what it is. So, at my listing ID, let's go ahead and finish this one off. So we've got the bidding, right? So at this point, we've got the buy, and then we got the bidding. So where we had create bid or offer, and then here the auction type. If it was of type auction, this is where we go ahead and basically make a bid. So remember, we have the use make bid function. So again, what we can do is we can scroll down using their example and actually copy the example down into our code and clean it up a little bit. So let's go ahead and do it over here. Pop it in, get rid of the loading and 0. We don't need that. We need the contract, and then we have the make bid function. So at this point, we can go back down, back down to our auction listing. And here I can simply go ahead and say console log making bid. So let's just say something like making bid, dot, dot, dot. And then we can go ahead and say await make bid. Okay, and this takes in some variables. So control spacebar gives us the bid and the listing ID. The listing ID is very simple. It's the listing ID that we had, and the bid is going to be the bid amount. Then we have our use query returns. We have the on success call, which is going to get called on the success. So in this case, the bid will be made successfully. We can log it out, and then we have the on the error call, right? And this is going to have the similar aspect where we're going to go ahead and say alert, something went wrong, and that kind of thing. So that's quite simply how you would do that, right? Now, I did forget to do one thing. Where we have the success calls on here and here, I want to go ahead and change the state of the bid amount back to blank. So we're going to say set the bid amount back to a blank value. So that way it kind of sorts out our input box after you place a bid, okay? So at this point, I've got my listing, and this is number 5. I just want to check something, right? My listing number 5 is, if we go over to our listings, we go to our active listings, and we see that number 5 is the Next.js handbook. That's correct, right? So let's go ahead and make a bid. So 0.00001, right? So let's go ahead and make that bid. Click bid, and let's see if it actually makes a bid right now. Okay. And you could do the same logic if you wanted here. You could say if the bid was the same as the buyout price, simply buy. I'll let you guys add that on if you want to, okay? So let's go ahead and click confirm. And let's actually view what's going on here. So it says making bid. So again, console logs do help you out because you can go ahead and actually show that you're actually reaching that point in your code. Now at this point, we can see that we got the bid number come back. I believe that's what we were expecting. Oh, that's the actual offer amount, sorry. So listing ID, bid made successfully, awesome stuff. So success, nice, right? And now you guys can see, hey, look at that. The current minimum bid has now gone up to 105. So now I have to meet that, otherwise it will throw an error, right? So that's the new minimum bid amount. So if I wanted to bid now, you can see if I was to go ahead and do it, look at that, 0.0015 or more. So our function's kicking off the way we expected it. That's great, right? So the bidding functionality is working the way we expected it, right? Now let's go ahead and try out the other one. So let's go ahead and do the PAPAFAM HTML Basics 101. Okay, so that's super strange why that's happening. Let me go ahead and actually, I'll fix that afterwards, but let's pick a auction listing. So number 9, right? So let's go manually to number 9 and we should see an auction listing over here. Okay. So we've got number 9, which is React Basics. Okay. Actually, what I wanted instead was a direct. So number 7, let's go to number 7. Okay. All right, so now we're on the 7th. So let's try and do our offer again. Let's just try this one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let's do 1, 2, 3. So I'll make an offer. Buyout price not met, making an offer. Let's see if this works. Again, we've got the same issue. I did run into this before, and it was quite a frustrating thing. I can't remember what the actual issue was. Let's just divert into a little bit more. Balance 20. This was... Right. This was a temporary issue I faced last time. Okay, what we're going to do then is I'll show you how to proceed on with it. And I can speak to the dev team. But it was one of those, I completely forgot what it was. It's fine. We can still go forward with this. I'll show you how to basically present the offers as well, right? So right now, we're still getting the offers on the screen. So I'll show you how we do it, okay? But that does actually work. That's how we go ahead and do it. We can debug that at the end, right? So at this point, what I would need you to do is we've actually done the bidding, we've done the auctioning. We just need to show if there's any previous offers on there, right? So let's go ahead and do that right now. Let's do, I just want to try another one. Let's do number 4. This is live debugging. This is honestly quite a zeros return hex. Gotta love numbers. Honestly, I know, dude. 0.0000001 or 2. Let's just do this. Make an offer. And I believe this is going to error out as well. I have a feeling it will. Let's see. Yep. So we're getting the same issue. Okay, that's fine. If we do 003, we should trigger a buy order, I believe. So buyout price met, buying the NFT. So buy still works. Yep. So buy still working. It's just our offer, which seems to be an issue right now. So if we do something like, don't be cheap, 0.01, let's make a huge offer. Go on then. I'm gonna throw a massive one in. It could be that it's too small of an offer. I don't know. Yeah, okay. That's bloody hell. Okay, it could be that. Okay, so obviously this is gonna be an offer that is bigger right now, but I'm just gonna show this as an example, right? So I'm making a 0.1 offer right now. That's probably why I think I was making it too small of an offer. That is actually the reason. That's actually the reason. Whoever's pointed me out, that's Yoni Renton. That's actually true. I think that was what they told me as well. No, but I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was. Anyway, all right. So we got this back. That's fine. We can come back to that afterwards. We can debug it, right? But I just want to show you how we can actually present our offers on the page. So I just want to quickly show you a real-time demo of this. I believe I have it on my deployed app using Girly right now. Although I don't know if I can make an offer here. So if we've got a buy now, let's go ahead and see if this listing is actually up. I don't know if it is. Okay, it is. So in this case, we've got 0 offers here. But on this one, I'm going to go ahead and show you. So if I did 0.0001 and I offered, I don't know if I've got enough Girly here. So let's go ahead and switch network. So you can see it's actually working because it's switching to the Girly. We've got the test notifications there. So I'm going to see if this is working now. So I've switched, in which case, okay, let's go ahead and do another offer. Creating offer. Let's refresh actually page. Oh, oops. Okay, I'm gonna cancel all my transactions. There we go. Load it up again. I've switched network onto the correct network now. So I'm on the Girly test network. Let's go ahead and make an offer for 0.0001. And then I'm making my offer. Okay, so at this point, we should see an offer pop in through here. Okay, and now you can see approved token spend. We click into it, confirm, and hopefully this should go through. Okay, so this is going ahead. and this should make an offer. So I'm going to show you how to build out this UI. It could be an issue with the Polygon network right now, as opposed to the girly testnet, but let's go ahead and see. Anyway, whichever way, let's go ahead and see, and hopefully I can just show you the UI that we're actually going to go ahead and build out, so that way you guys can see for yourself and get the code that was required for this. Okay, so let's give it just a little longer to go ahead and push this through. And you can also see the success condition that we will get here as well. Okay, so there we go. Approved token spend, done. It went through. So now what we should see is an offer being made. Okay, so we haven't got the offer. So I believe, okay, so we've got the same issue here. So I think this could be an issue over on the SDK side. I think it could be on the SDK side, yeah. Okay, that's completely fine though. The devs are very quick at fixing that. In the meantime, I'm going to show you how we can actually get this bit built out. I believe, Jay, we have a screenshot of the UI with the offers. So if you can send me that in Slack right now, that would really help me out. And then in the meantime, I'll build out this offers section. Okay, but that's fine. This stuff happens. We can get past it. Okay. So I'll show you guys how to do it, and then I'll get the guys to push over a fix for that. All right, so let's go ahead and show how I can basically prove that the offers are there. And then there's also a way of, once we have the offers there, there will be a accept offer button as well. There's only there if you are the owner of that NFT. Right, so I'm going to show you how we can go ahead and do that. Now, what I'm actually going ahead and building here, Jace just sent me it perfect. I'm going to show you guys what it would actually look like. Okay, so bear with me just 1 second. I'm going to bring this up on the screen right now so you guys can see for yourself what we're going to be building out. Okay, so this is what we're actually going to be building out. So this is the offers that get made, and then you can go ahead and accept the offer if you are the owner of the NFT. So I'm actually going to show you how we're going to build this out. Right, so this is going to be our reference, and then I'm going to go ahead and do it accordingly. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and have this on the left hand side, right hand side, so you can see what we're building. So at this point, and just trust me that it does work. By the time you watch this video, the little issue that we're facing will be fixed, and it will be up and sort of patched. Okay, so where we had the make an offer option, we need to go ahead and instead we've got that bit here, if direct show offers here. So that's where we're going to have it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and say if the listing type is direct, so if listing dot type equals direct, if listing type, no, listing type dot direct, only then are we going to go ahead and render out the next section. Okay, so at this point, what I'm going to say is we're going to have a div. Okay, and inside my div, I'm going to go ahead and have a p tag, which goes ahead and says offers. Okay, and this one is going to be that's our first thing, and then the second one is going to be the actual number itself. So it's going to say oh, sorry, I've actually completely messed this one up. Okay, so I'm going to say if it's direct, and if offers dot data, so if offers, which could be conditional, dot data, right? So where is my offers at? Use offers is here. Okay, so if we've got this, if my listing type is direct and my offers dot data, there we go. Okay, where is my offer? Debugging. Okay, so, oh, okay, actually, I've completely made a little silly mistake. My use offers is actually supposed to be inside of offers, not in this. It should be like this. Yeah, offers. All right. What I've done there is I've instead, oh, okay, sorry, my offers is already, okay, I'm so silly. All right, it's just offers. There we go. Okay. So at this point, we've got the offers inside, and what we can do is go ahead and list it out accordingly. So there's so much code on my screen. I'm trying to figure out where the hell we're at. So at this point, we've got our offers, and I want to basically have, let's go ahead and see here. So we've got the offers, and then here I'll say offers, we've already got that. So we say dot length. If the length is greater than 0, okay, then I'm going to say it's going to show the length itself. So offers.length. Otherwise, just show a value of 0. Okay. So in this case, we've got offers being 0. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and say that this should be font bold. This should be font bold. And then the div surrounding it should be a grid columns of 2 with a gap between the Y elements of 2 as well. Okay. So there you go. We've got our grid. And then what we're going to do is we're going to map through all the different offers. So at this point now, we're going to be building out these this mapping section. So we're going to go ahead and say offers.map. Now for every single offer, what I need to do is I'm going to go ahead and pass in a implicit return. And then what I'm going to say is that we're going to return back a React fragment. Okay. And this React fragment is going to go ahead and have a p tag. And this p tag is going to go ahead and have a, it's going to have the user's like first 5 digits and last 5 digits, right, of the person who made the offer. So in this case, the way you do that is, Stetco, thank you so much, $24.99 donation. I appreciate you. He goes, love you, bro. You're opening up my future. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you for tuning in, my bro. Right. So at this point, and make sure you smash the like button if you're enjoying this video. Right. So let's keep on moving strong. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and say offer dot offerer dot slice. Okay, so in fact, what I'm going to do to save us a little bit of hassle is I'm actually going to go ahead and pop in my code snippet, and we're going to have the user circle icon next to it as well. Okay, so inside of this p tag, we're going to go ahead and do this, right? So it's going to go ahead and have something like that. Hey, there we go. That the audio is coming in. So for this, we're going to go ahead and say flex. The items should be central, margin left of 5, and text should be small and italic. Right, so what we're building right now is that exact portion there. Okay. Now after that p tag, I'm going to have a div, and inside of that div, I'm going to go ahead and have the actual price, right? So the price that we're actually going to go ahead and see. So for that price, I'm going to format the offer amount, and I'm going to even show the native token for the network that we are currently on. So in this case, what we do is we go ahead and write the following. So I need to import native tokens. I need to import our network. Where is it? Network. Yeah. And the native tokens, we're importing it from the Third Web SDK. Our network, we're pulling in based on whichever network we're using, and then we're going to go ahead and get the symbol. Now, what this is doing is the total offer amount will get shown as according to this. So that is essentially what I just wrote there, right? Now here, what I'm going to say is text should be small and italic, right? Now for the key, what I did here was a combination of different things. You could say offer plus listing ID and so forth. But in this case, I've just done a combination of the different values here that you're mapping through. You can feel free to do whatever you want. I've done it simply as this, right? So the offer listing ID, offer amount, and offer to string. And then what I'm doing is only if, right? Only if there is if the user owns the NFT, should we show a button to accept the offer, right? So underneath this p tag, I'm basically going to say if the listing seller address, right, is equivalent to the address that is used, that the user is signed in as, which I'll get right now, then we should show a button which we're going to format that says accept offer. And I'm going to go ahead and pop this in and explain it. So it's a button that we go ahead and we accept an offer, which I need to go ahead and pull in. This is the styling that is responsible for getting this design, the accept offer design, right? Now what I want to do is I need to get the accept offer and the address. The address is very simple. All we need to do is go ahead and say const address equals use address, like so, right? The second one is going to be the accept offer, right? So for accept offer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a function which we're going to go ahead and create at the top right now. So we're going to go ahead and create a function called accept offer. So const accept offer equals an asynchronous function. Okay. And what it takes as an argument is we're going to actually go ahead and pass in the offer itself. And this is actually something called the record, and it's of a type string. Oops. string and any. Okay, and what comes in here is we need to go ahead and basically make a call to the contract itself. Now they have got a use accept offer hook, I think. Use accept direct listing offer. Yes, we could use this hook actually. Let me go ahead and use this one. This is actually even easier. So we don't even need to do that. Let me go ahead and bring this in, hover over it. Okay, we should see an example right here. There we go. I'm going to pull this in. And what I'm actually going to do, guys, is I'm going to use that call. Let's go ahead and replace this with here. Get rid of the accept offer like so. And then I'm going to go ahead and replace this with the contract. So now I have a way to accept the offer. Head down to my code, and here what I'm going to do is, rather than just this, I'm going to execute a code block where we accept the offer, passing in the offer itself. And here you can see is missing the following type properties. Okay, that's fine. Accept direct offer. I think I need to actually change my type definition here when we loop through it. So let me just check my logic that I have here. So what I've actually done a bit strange here, which is probably the reason why it's breaking a few things, is it's all undefined. So my offers comes down here. When we loop through, it could be all undefined. So I believe that that is the reason why I'm getting it. So offers, there we go. And then offer becomes that type, and offer is a stripe. It's missing the following properties of type. Okay, so they've changed a little bit of the code here. So I did actually fix this at a different point. I'm trying to remember where the hell I've changed that in actually. Okay, so what we could do here is, if we were to refactor our code, we go up to our offers, and instead of this, I'm going to go ahead and just do a little minor refactor. I'm going to change this to offers, and then here it's going to say offers.data. .data, and then let's do some optional chaining here to protect ourselves. Okay, and just like so. And let's go ahead and protect ourselves. Object is possibly undefined. Right, so give me 1 second, guys. I'm all over the place right now. Right, here we are. Offers.data. There we go. So I'm making sure we actually access the item itself. Then we're going to go ahead and say object offers.data map. Okay. And then here, when I accept that offer, I'm going to go ahead and for mine, it's record string any. And here it's record string any. Interesting. My accept offer. Oh, that's why I've messed up. Okay, that's exactly why I've screwed up a little bit. All right, so at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say accept direct offer. I'm going to change this, and I'm going to go ahead and actually call. Oh, okay. So I did an actual contract. Okay, so I see what's happened here. Okay, so that's fine. What we can do is let's go ahead and call accept offer, and this one, what we can do is we can pass in the variables for the accept offer, and then we just have to pass in the address and the listing ID. Right, so sorry guys, I made a silly refactoring there. What we can actually do is change this back to offers. I want to undo what I just did because that's not a good idea. Let's do offers. Let's change this to the data again. So no, let's go ahead and say this is the data. We're going to change this back to offers. And now wherever I had this call, I'm just going to go ahead and make it clean again. So stick with your first gut because it was correct. Offers.map. There we go. For every single offer, we loop through. And then here, when we accept the offer, this is right. We pass in the listing ID, and then the offer.offerer is actually going to be the address. In this case, that's correct. I believe it's offerer. Is it offerer? Is it address of offerer? There you go. It's going to be like this. Okay. There we go. So accept the offer is going to go ahead and happen here. And then what I want to do is replace the user afterwards. So we can say, we can actually go ahead and do this. And I can actually go ahead and say afterwards dot. Okay, so this is going to come back with a bunch of on success, on settled, and that kind of stuff. On success, I want to do offer accepted successfully, success, and then we're going to replace them to the home screen, right? So there we go. That's actually what I wanted. So at this point, I'm going to run through what's happening, right? And you can have an on error call as well. So you could go ahead and have your error call accordingly outside here as well. So you can have on error cannot be accepted, console log, and then you could just leave them leave them there. I would have some toast notification if you wanted at that point as well, right? So just with that bit said, what I want to mention is happening here is this button would only show if you were logged in, right? And then what would happen is if you were logged in and you clicked the accept offer button, what would happen is you would then go ahead and be able to accept the offer, and it would actually take it off the marketplace, right? And then the transaction would have facilitated. So let's imagine person B wanted to buy from person A. Person B would make an offer, person A would see their offer, and then because person A owns the NFT, they can click complete or accept offer. Once they've done that, the transaction will go through, it will come off of the marketplace, and the token or the NFT would be transferred from person A's wallet into person's B wallet. This entire transaction would then occur, and it would happen on the blockchain, and person A would no longer be the owner of this NFT, person B would now own it. I hope that explained the entire concept clearly. With that said, we actually just went ahead and completed that. So I've gone ahead and made that connection there. So I just want to see something, final check. Let's just see if it's going to work for us or if it's not. If it doesn't, that's completely fine. As I mentioned before, I did run into this when I was developing it, and we managed to make a fix for it. But let's go ahead and switch the network. Let's create an offer now and see if this offer is being made. If it is, great. If it's not, don't worry, I'll get it patched up. That's fine. Okay, so we're getting that same issue right now. That's completely cool. It's probably a bug on the network. We can fix that afterwards. That's fine, right? But the offer right now, you can go ahead and buy the item, the listing, and it will actually go ahead and go to your inventory. Now, to prove that it does go to your inventory, let me go ahead and show you right now, okay? So let's go ahead and go into this one right now. So React Basics, HTML Basics. Okay, so A5 is the owner, right? So A5 is this person right here. So let's switch account to 85C, right? So I'm going to buy it as 85C. Now, before I buy it, I'm going to go to list an item, and we should see that I don't own that NFT. So I actually don't own any NFTs there, yeah? So let's go ahead and buy it now. So I'm going to go ahead and buy it, and you're going to see that this actually facilitates the transaction. So I'm doing a buy order right now. I'm buying the HTML Basics 101 from this person for this price, okay? And we should see that this is the listing number 4. So listing number 4 is actually going ahead and getting, no, so listing number 4 is gone. So the event has taken place. A new sale has taken place from listing ID 4, quantity bought 1, and the person paid 3,000 Gwei for it, right? So there it is, it's gone. If we list the item now, we'll see that I now own the NFT. Hey, that is awesome, right? And if I go ahead and switch into the other person's wallet, let's go ahead and see for ourselves. I'm in the other person's wallet now. We should see that they don't own it. That's amazing. So that actually just facilitated a full sale from one person to another and into their wallet, right? So you can see they actually went ahead and facilitated the entire transaction, which is incredible, guys, right? So that worked really, really nicely. Now I do want to go ahead and quickly give this final thing a look at for the homepage. So we're getting this weird issue with our listings right now. I believe it could be because I'm attaching a key to our link instead. So what I might do here is actually have it so that way we have everything attached to the div, and we have our key attached to the div as well. We remove our link component, and instead I'm going to have on the div. So let's go ahead on click. I'm going to go ahead and push. Let's go ahead and say we're going to do router.push. Sorry, I need to get my router object first. So we're going to go ahead and say const router equals use router. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and say a router dot push /listing /listing ID, right? So you can either do it that way or you can string interpolate. I prefer string interpolation. It's just cleaner overall. Let's go ahead and say this, this, oops. Okay, so listing / listing ID. So let's give that a try now. I believe that might be the reason why. Good stream quality, there we go, right? So let's go ahead and see if that's fixed our issue. It's a weird bit of a strange key situation I've got going on right now, but let's go ahead and give it a try. Okay, so mine is starting to completely bug out now. Let's go ahead and give it another go. Okay, so that's completely fine. Let's go ahead and log in and out. I think the network is having a bit of an issue right now. Demo gods are basically just being against me right now. That's honestly what's happening. But it's completely fine. We'll come back to it. Yeah, so in that case, my network's kind of died a bit. Okay, but the main thing to consider is, what did we build today, right? We went ahead and we built out this page. We then went ahead and built out the ability to have the buy now button, or whether it's a direct listing or an auction listing. We then had the offers being presented on the screen if an offer was made, and depending on if you're on a direct listing, you'll be able to make an offer, or if you're on an auction listing, you'll be able to bid, and the bidding statistics then came up. So I guess the only thing to do really now is to go ahead and add in the toaster notifications, right? Now, what I'm going to do here to go ahead and make it a little bit more of a challenge is, you've got two options here. One, the code will be available in the Papa GitHub repo after the challenge is finished, because I want everyone to have their kind of, you know, way of doing this. But what I do want to do is set as a challenge bit of homework now is I want to add in the ability to add in React hot toast notifications yourself. Now think about it. This is a really nice way to separate those who don't want to add in the extra stuff themselves and those who do. So this is your basically your challenge extension to add in hot toast notifications, right? So this one, you can basically go ahead, add in your hot toast notifications, add it into your app, and you can call this to go ahead and present notifications just like this into your application, right? So what I want you to do is have it so that way when you click buy now, it will say buying NFT, and then when the buy process is complete, it would say the buy, you know, you have successfully bought an NFT and so forth. And then what I'm going to do is, at the end of day 5, I'm going to publish the code to the Papa GitHub repo. But anyone who does it before me is going to get shouted out before. I've already done this in my build, so I'm going to show you exactly how it looks right now on the final build. And then yeah, you guys can let me know who's going to add in notifications. I want to add that little challenge aspect inside of the app. So in this case, let's go ahead and see. If I was to buy this, you can see that buy NFT pops up, and it's waiting on the promise to be confirmed, right? So I'm going to switch the network quickly. 1 second. Let's just do that again. Let's buy the NFT. It pops up with the prompt, and let's go ahead and see for ourselves. And then when I go ahead and click confirm, basically after the buy process is complete, it will then say successfully bought NFT, as opposed to an alert popping up. So that's a much cleaner way of doing it. And if there's an error, it will come up with an error saying, whoops, something went wrong. Now I've given you all the skeleton to go ahead and do that. Now it's up to you to go ahead and facilitate that yourself, right? And then what we'll do is after day 5, we're going to go ahead and release the code into the Papa GitHub repo, and the link to get that is in the description. So let's go ahead and see for ourselves the final product. There you go. The NFT was bought successfully, and then it will go ahead and load out the listings. This one will disappear because it was actually bought, and then we can go ahead and see for ourselves. So Saroj says, hey Sonny, can you try? I think I bought another one. Saroj said, hey Sonny, can you try VS Code? Okay, no, I'm not trying that right now. All right, so at this point, this is looking pretty good, right? So what you need to do for your day 4 homework is go ahead and push the code that we did today, right? So in this case, what I need you to go ahead and do is do a simple commit and push. So in this case, we've got our all of our changes here. Let's go ahead and pop those in, and we're going to say day 4 commit, right? Hit the save button, and we're going to push that to our repo. That's going to go ahead and push the code, which is going to trigger a rebuild in our, oh, there you go. Now it's working. Strange little issue, honestly. So let's go ahead and do our Vercel, right? Head over to Vercel. Then you can go ahead and see here, just now, my GitHub deployment was triggered, day 4 commit. this will go ahead and redeploy to your deployment link. So once this build is complete, you'll get your deployment link, copy this in and pop it into your homework submission for day 4. So full name, email, your final deployed eBay build link with fully completed or partially completed. This is the final challenge aspect for you. Can you or can you not complete the entire build, right? So the entire build will be released on the GitHub repo afterwards, as I mentioned. Now, before we wrap up, I do want to mention that you guys have to sign up for day 5 of the challenge tomorrow. And if you want a simple way to sign up, just head over to papareact.com/challenge, head over to register your free spot now, click that and sign up. And that's your easiest way to let me know that you're a part of this event. If you haven't done that, you're not going to get the training for tomorrow. Tomorrow is the biggest day of this 5-day challenge. It's where I give you the full stack roadmap to crushing it as a developer in the year 2022. It's where we go from absolute zero skill all the way up until running into your first job and beyond. All the tips, tricks that I learned over the years, everything I'm going to be spilling in tomorrow's training. And I'm going to be giving everyone who attends tomorrow's session a bunch of free goodies, including 3 different ebooks, 2 courses, and a bunch of others, including the PAPAFAM playlist. And there's a secret coupon or a secret reveal that I'm going to be revealing just for tomorrow's session if you are looking to join Zero to Full Stack Hero. So make sure you're there. It's only going to be there for that event. So as always, guys, this has been your boy Papa React. I'm going to wrap it up the way that we always do with the PAPAFAM anthem. This was the build. We've actually successfully deployed it, I believe. Yep, we've successfully deployed it. And you can go ahead and check for yourself. There you go, nice. Yeah, so today we went actually and built out the entire rest of the app. So we actually went ahead, facilitated the buy now process, the ability to make an offer, the ability to auction things off onto their own sort of auctions. In this case, you can place your auction, the time remaining. You can go ahead and actually see that it fully works, and the facilitation of a transaction between person A and person B fully works, and it's on the blockchain, right? So everything is absolutely crazy, powered by our amazing friends over at Third Web. We ran into a little hiccup at one point, but we overcame it. It's completely fine. By the time you watch this video, it will be fixed and be working, so don't worry. Delvin says, amazing session. Sunny, are all the attendees going to have access to the GitHub repo for the project? No, so the Papa GitHub repo is still behind the product, but if you win, then you will get access to it, yeah, okay? Or if you're subscribed to Zero to Full Stack Hero, then you will get access to it. But otherwise, guys, this has been your boy Sunny, and I will see you in day 5 of the eBay 5-day Next.js challenge. Peace. Get those homework submissions in, guys. I want to make sure that you absolutely smash it with this homework, finish this challenge strong. I will see you then. Peace.